Hey everybody, this is Paul. I decided to do a Doordash video. I was gonna do another Doordash video about like having top dasher and being almost 13 or 1400 orders in, and I was kind of thinking about putting that video together pretty soon, so that'll come up on my channel. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a video on something I've noticed doing Doordash, something that everybody in the Doordash community seems to know about, but nobody can actually prove it, or they think it's happening but there's no way to prove it. And what they do in the situation is they just blacklist restaurants. And what's going on here is the customers end up in the complete dark. So what we have, so I want to go over a screenshot that I took here, and this is a screenshot message that I sent to a customer. So what happened was is I had an order for it popped up and it said Papa John's, and it said $2.75 for like 1 mile, or maybe 1.2 miles. It wasn't that far away, but it was for 10 items. So I know how much they cost. I can kind of do the math in my head. Most of the Papa John's orders I get are cash only, and I've been trying to figure out why most Papa John's orders I get are cash only. But I get Pizza Hut and I get Little Caesars order, and they tip through the app all the time, every single time. But only Papa John's, they do this. But in just to say this isn't just Papa John's that does this. This is other restaurants. So what I wanted to do is I had 7 pizzas and 3 things that he ordered. It was a very massive order for a guy throwing a party at his office here. So basically, I kept the guy up to date. There's parts of the message I couldn't even fit on the screen here. So what I did is basically once I dropped off the order, I didn't get a cash tip. So I was kind of looking around and I'm like, this is a really nice place. The guy's dressed really nice. And I'm like, oh, maybe could he just be cheap? No, I don't think he's cheap. I'm like, let's see if we can figure out what's going on. So I just sent a little thing that said, just as an FYI, not tipping on an order, $100 order is rude. Now, I could have worded that differently, obviously. 99.99% of the time, I wouldn't have cared. But there's something about this particular order that bothered me, particularly the size, but also the kind of way that the guy kind of seemed to think that he had already tipped me. It was like a non-verbal type thing where he was like, gave me a thumbs up kind of thing, and he thought I was cool and happy, everything was cool, and I'm like, this is very strange. So what he did back is basically say, I added a tip when I ordered. And then I could have went further into this, but basically I said, it seems Papa John's might have stole it then, because DoorDash only paid me $2.75. So what I did is I posted this on the Louisiana Reddit forum, or the Louisiana forum that we're kind of on, where all the drivers are, to try and see what their feedback on the situation is. And what they said is, oh, it's store specific. Oh, there's different things that go on. Oh, some places, I just blacklist all Papa John's orders because of this exact issue. I blacklist all Papa John's orders. Now, as you might know, that there's a staffing crisis in this country. There's a driver crisis in this country for the different pizza places. Domino's just took a massive hit on their earnings because of it. And Papa John's has been talking about how they have enough drivers. Well, you're going to have a problem here if you don't start to deal with this. In other restaurants, this applies to you. You know who you are. So what is going on is they said, oh, it's store specific. So that's been the longest thing for the longest time. There's certain stores that still tips. Well, let's talk about that. So this was the pay for the order. This is the Papa John's store. If you're watching this, Papa John's, by the way. But let's talk about the very next order for one pizza that I had at the exact same store. Not even 2 seconds after I dropped off that guy's order, I got another order for that same store. One single pizza. Right there. Pull that back up. So, as you can see, exact same store. Base pay a little higher this time. Might have been rejected by 1 or 2 drivers, because I think they started 275 in my area, and it might have been rejected by 2 other drivers. And the reason why it was rejected by 2 other drivers is because they think you're stealing their tips. There are drivers that will not deal with Papa John's. They do not care if they're standing directly next to it. They will reject Papa John's orders all day long. And the reason why is because they are becoming known as a tip stealer, along with other restaurants. So I guess I decided to think maybe let's talk about what's causing this. Because the lady who I delivered this to specifically asked me, did I get the tip? And customers never ask that. I'm up to 1,400 orders right now. I've done maybe 600 or 700 of those have been hand to me orders where you hand it to the person. I've only had maybe one person say, yeah, I tipped you in the app, but they never asked me, did I actually get the tip? And the reason why is because I guarantee she has dealt with this. So let's talk to these restaurants about how this is screwing your customers. Going forward, I refuse to take any Papa John's order that looks like this, even if the person's giving me a cash tip. That person will not see their order. So what's going to happen is in this situation, let's talk about this situation right here. That was 10 items for $2.75 for probably about maybe 2 miles, maybe 1.8, 2 miles, okay? This order would have probably been rejected by 15, 16 separate dashers because it goes up by 25 cents every time they reject an order. So every time they decline an order, it goes further and further and further out. So what happens is say if I was around the corner when I got this order, if I had rejected this order, it would have started to go further out. It would have went out 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, 7 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles, looking for a dasher to pick up this one order to go right around the corner. And what's going on is and how did all this even happen? They order through the Papa John's app, not through Doordash. So if you order through Doordash, you can attach the tip. Tip gets attached, goes straight to the driver. If you order through the Papa John's app, you add whatever tip. That guy probably added 10%. He looked like he probably is a pretty big tipper, probably 10 to 15%. That's probably $15, $20 that I never saw, that Papa John's just flat out stole. Flat out stole. Now, we could always say that the customer's lying, but this is not the first instance where I've seen customers say they have ordered through the store's app, not through DoorDash, through the store's app, and the tip that they put in never made it into DoorDash's system. Now, are they doing this on purpose? No, I don't think they're doing this on purpose. I don't think the left hand is talking to the right hand, which means I don't think Papa John's app is talking correctly to DoorDash's app. And now, here's how this screws your customers. This order would have probably sat there getting cold because I didn't see any place at that Papa John's where they could stick 10 pizzas to keep them warm on top of the other orders that they had coming in. This guy's order would have sat there for probably 30, 40 minutes. Guaranteed. I promise you. Because where this Papa John's is located is not only was this a huge order paying almost nothing, paying literally nothing in tip wise, this is also in a very, very heavy construction area with a very large amount of traffic that I decided to take a chance on that screwed me. And I violated one of my big rules on that is that I usually will never take orders this low. So what I would recommend to Papa John's, what I would recommend to you other restaurants that are out there doing this, and I know you're out there doing this because I've taken those orders before and I've seen them and they screwed me over before, is you better stop. Because your store is getting blacklisted by all the drivers in the area and you're going to have to go further and further and further and further and further and further out. And you're not going to find employees who will put up with it. You're not going to find DoorDash drivers who will put up with this. DoorDash drivers will blacklist your store and they will never go near that store ever again, no matter what the order that comes through. Even if this order right here, this order was $8.20, this is how it appeared on my screen, $8.25 for 2 miles, DoorDash drivers will reject that order because they associate this store with tip stealing. And I guarantee you this store has no clue what's going on, because when I went back to that store, I even told the guy who gave me the pizzas, I was like, man, that guy just accused you guys of stealing tips. Like of basically stealing his tip that was supposed to go to me. That guy had no clue what I was talking about. No clue. Guarantee the manager has no clue what's going on. Guarantee nobody knows what's going on. I've had it with other stores. They have no clue what's going on. I've asked the manager before. They were like, no, that's not how that's supposed to work. You're supposed to get tipped whatever they put in if they put it in our app, it's supposed to go to you. So it's either on the DoorDash side or it's on the restaurant side. But this needs to be addressed. And the reason why it needs to be addressed is because every single other YouTuber is calling customers like this a piece of crap and their orders need to sit there. There's a guy on YouTube named Nugs who took an order just like this because he's doing an experiment about taking all the orders. He took this guy's order. He would have taken this guy's order, stuck it right out in front of the building in the freezing cold, by the way, because it's about 50 degrees in Louisiana right now. He would have stuck it out there, took the contract violation, and laughed on it about YouTube. Because there's a guy who did something identical. He did something pretty much identical to somebody who was living in a hotel. They wouldn't have handed it to him. They would have just dropped it off in front of the hotel. Now, here's where, if you were the customer and I found that out, I would be on the phone with Doordash 3 seconds later. I'm surprised this guy didn't call Doordash about this after I let him know that Papa John stole the tip. There are Doordash drivers that will straight up leave this order on the side of the curb. 10 pizzas, $100+ worth of stuff. They would have dropped this order right in the lobby, or they would have dropped it right on the street, just to like rub it in the customer's face. I don't do that. That's definitely not how I do it. But there are some people who don't care if they get suspended from this app, just so that they can try and teach no-tip customers a lesson. When in reality, let's go back to the guy's message where it's at. Where's the guy's message? But the guy clearly says I added a tip when I ordered. But as far as I can tell, he never added a tip. So what I would recommend is that DoorDash and the restaurants start talking to each other, because the main person getting screwed in this, outside of the drivers getting screwed in this, because for the drivers it's as simple as hitting decline, and I'm going to do that from now on. There is zero chance I will ever take a Papa John's order that's this low ever again. There is no chance, especially from that store or just any store, period. And that's on me. I got 1,400 orders in. I took a chance on this thinking maybe it might be a cash tip because it was such a large order. But that's on me. But what I need, I don't know how Papa John's is balancing their books. I don't even know how that looks on their books. But that money never got transferred to DoorDash. So, and this isn't the first time, and this isn't just the only restaurant that does it. And we have other restaurants that do it around here, and the money just doesn't make it from point A to point B, and it needs to be addressed. So, I just wanted to make a quick video pointing this out because it's a serious, serious issue, and it's screwing customers over. And the customers have no clue it's happening. All they know is that it's taken an hour and a half for their order to get there, and as far as they know, they tip $15. And you think I'm joking about the hour and a half. I'm not joking about the hour and a half. Where this restaurant is located is a nightmare to get to, especially in the middle of the day when this guy wanted his food. And if he ordered this for a restaurant party, he would have never got that order. I promise you right now, he ordered that order at 11 o'clock. He would probably just now be getting that order at 1 o'clock. Because they would have had to keep going further and further and further and further. And they would have ended up going about 15 miles out before you found the driver that would have took this order. That would have drove halfway across the city of New Orleans into Kenner, Louisiana to be able to take this guy's order. And he has no clue. All he knows is that the Papa John's is 2 miles away. He tipped $15 because he wanted fast service probably, and he got screwed over by something he can't even begin to control. Which is why I addressed it with the customer, because something didn't seem right about this order at all. So I think it needs to be addressed. Hopefully this YouTube videos provide some help. I could have I could have worded that a little better to the customer, probably, obviously, but it's something that's bothered me for a while, and I wanted to address it with not just a customer, but also in a form of a YouTube video. So hopefully we can see where this goes. So thank you all, and leave any comments if this has ever happened to you. It's got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed. So especially with it getting cold outside, it's going to really screw over customers. So thank you so much, and y'all have a nice day.